Welcome on in here to WagerTalk Extra, the final edition of the week, and we're here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, reminding you that no matter what sport you're cashing on, that money spends all the same. And we have a debut coming up to end the show. Tokyo Brandon's going to shut things down for us. He's going to talk World Baseball Classic. Before that, Kyle Anthony's going to talk the UFC Fight Night this weekend. He's got a look at the main event and a fight that he is looking forward to watching, and a potential another plus money dog to get home for you on the show here today. But first, we got the unofficial official co-host of the show, Andy Lang, joining me to talk a little auto racing. Always a pleasure, Andy, and we brought it back from Life in the Fast Lane last week of the Stenhouse Award, maybe my favorite segment. It might not be actionable info, but damn it, is it fun. Stenhouse Award, it's all about what people are screwing up in auto racing, and I'll turn it on over to you. Who's our Stenhouse Award nominees and our winner for this week?
Yeah, it's the funniest moment of the biggest screw up and some strong nominees. Formula One coming in hot to start the season. Lance Stroll, you're going to hear his name all throughout the year for this award. He's the worst driver in Formula One, and his dad owns the team, so his spot is safe. So Lance Stroll has a wrist injury. So all week he's been complaining about how hard it is to steer. His dad owns the Aston Martin team. And so before the race, his dad gives an interview, and he proclaims that his son is giving a heroic effort with his wrist injury to even race. So Stroll goes out. He messes up the formation lap. Like, he can't even do the parade lap right. And then the race starts, and he runs into his own teammate on the first lap. So Lance Stroll's 2023 season is off and running, Dan. Lance Stroll, this board might be named after him by the end of the year. Next nominee, Esteban Ocon. So he starts the race illegally. He pulls too far through his box, so he gets a penalty, 5-second penalty. He comes into the pits to serve the 5-second penalty, except he serves the penalty illegally, and he gets a 10-second penalty added in. So he comes in to serve his second penalty, and he gets caught speeding in the pits, so he has to come back in for a 15-second penalty, and then his car dies, and he doesn't finish the race. So Esteban Ocon has had better days. Dan, most drivers don't get 3 penalties in the entire season, let alone 3 in the first race of the year. So Esteban Ocon, strong nominee. But unfortunately, the award goes to Chase Elliott this week. Chase Elliott breaks his leg, not racing, but snowboarding, and is out indefinitely. He broke his tibia, which is a pretty major injury. They don't know how long he's going to be out, but depending on what kind of break or what kind of surgery, he could be out for quite a long time. So Chase Elliott breaking his leg, doing another sport. I'm sure that is not what the Hendricks teams wanted. Congratulations, Chase. You are the winner of this week's Stenhouse Award.
Congratulations. Yeah, I stick away from the slopes, and now I see why. I went snowboarding one time, Andy. One time.
That's all it took.
It's all it took. I was ill-prepared. I was wearing jeans. I couldn't stop, so like my back was all scraped up. Long story short, my board ended up coming off my feet. It was one of the click-in boards. I had to walk all the way down the rest of the mountain, and I never went snowboarding again. Scarred for life. So Chase Elliott, I feel your pain. Maybe you should have just been like me and just tried to ride your snowboard down like it was a sled, and you would have gotten away with it. All right, Andy, we're not here to hear my woes about snowboarding. We're here to get the folks some actionable info. But before we look forward to the Phoenix race and give the folks a best bet in NASCAR action this week, why don't we just start with some takeaways from what you saw last week in NASCAR and F1, just maybe some standouts before we preview this upcoming course.
Sure. Very, very big, important learning weekend. I'll start with Formula One. What did we learn? We learned the Red Bulls are even faster than I thought they were going to be. They were so far ahead. It's just come out that the team actually told them to slow down towards the end of the race because they didn't want to put that much wear and tear on the engine. Do you know how fast you have to be to have your team tell you to slow down in a race? So I had been jumping up and down saying take Max Verstappen to win at plus money, and he won going away. They look great. The Mercedes really struggled. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton couldn't quite get their cars right. And then the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso is an absolute rocket ship. I did not expect, I don't think most people expected that Aston Martin car to be competitive with the Ferraris. And not only was he competitive, he was passing them. So it really looks like Fernando Alonso may be in line for this third or fourth fastest car in the field. The Williams actually had some good finishes. They finished 10th and 12th. That is very unlike them. They had really, really positive races. The Haas Ferraris really, really kind of fell apart, and they underperformed. And I actually thought that the McLarens, we knew that they were going to be bad. We didn't know they were going to be this bad. Lando Norris had to keep coming in because they had to refill their engine with some fluid. Piastri was the very first car to go out of the race. He only completed 13 laps. This is a real problem for McLaren because as teams are improving their cars that are already running great, McLaren is going to have to do whatever it takes to make sure their cars can finish. So McLaren is the biggest fade takeaway that I took away from the Formula One race. For the NASCAR race, listen, you're supporting Team Hendricks. They finished 1-2. This team is the best team right now. And we see this in NASCAR where one team will run as the best team for 6 to 8 weeks. The other teams will catch up. Right now, it's Team Hendricks and the Chevys that are really, really running good. I'm not seeing a whole lot of life out of the Toyotas, despite the fact that we had a 4th and 5th place finish. The restart was very, very weird at the end. We'll get into that here in just a second. But it's Chevys and Hendricks right now, and it's Red Bulls in Formula One as the best teams.
So we got a best bet coming up right around the way. But first, Andy, why don't we just set up what else you're going to be looking for? Maybe, get into the way that you're going to be handicapping this race coming up this weekend. It's the Phoenix race. So let's just start with a preview, and then we'll give the folks some more straightforward betting advice. But how are you going to be looking to bet this course or track, and how should people be aware of it?
Okay, so this is not a cookie cutter track. This is a little bit smaller. You're going to see this race. They use it as the championship track. So this is going to be the last track of the season. So we can learn a lot from this. It's important to pay attention to see who runs good. It's going to be a long time before we get to the championship, but you can still have some takeaways. In the past, this is a Kevin Harvick track. He dominates this track. He has for his entire career. So if you're looking at track history, it's going to be Kevin Harvick. The Toyotas did not fare too well last year at this track, and that's important because they're in the new cars. Fords and Chevys finished in the top 4 and the top 5 the last 2 races here. Toyotas did not. So if you're looking at manufacturers, you can get both of them at plus money. I believe one's plus 150 and plus 160. So you can take those at plus money, and if a Ford or a Chevy wins, you can expect that. It's a lot more with the handling at this track as opposed to the huge speed. They're not going to get up to the speeds that we saw at the last 2 cookie cutter tracks. Pit stops are even more important. So the pit crews are going to play an important role because if you have a mess up, it's a lot easier to go 1 or 2 laps down. So you can look at track history, but I would only look at it just from last year. I wouldn't go too far back because they were in different cars. It's a fun track. It's out in the desert. Weather shouldn't be an issue here at this track. Always an exciting race. And like I said, we'll see it again at the end of the year.
Now we're all set up for the Phoenix race this weekend in the middle of the desert. So now everyone's favorite part is when Andy just tells us, hey, here's something I'm betting. You should bet it too. What are we eyeing for the free play in this weekend's NASCAR action, Andy?
Well, this was a brutal beat from last week. We had Denny Hamlin top 10, and he ran in the top 10 the whole race. He was 3rd at the end of the race. We have a caution with 4 laps left. That's where winning bets go to die, is late cautions. They have the restart. He gets a little loose, and he finishes 11th. So 1 spot out of the top 10, which was a heartbreak. But here's the thing. That play was handicapped well, and that's my biggest takeaway from that. We were dead on with the handicap. I'm going right back to Denny Hamlin, top 10. He's finished top 10 a bunch of times in a row. He's won here before. I think he's one of the top Toyota cars that we have. That if that race doesn't have the late caution last week, he's got a top 3, possibly a top 4 finish at worst. So Denny Hamlin is minus 150 right now. He's got a great team. They're fantastic at making adjustments through the race. I loved they made a call where they went for 2 tires instead of 4 like everyone else did. It got him out to the lead and vaulted him into the top 5. I'm not going away from a bet that lost last week because we got unlucky at the end. Give me Denny Hamlin top 10 as my best bet this week.
I love that look, Andy. And really, this is a good teaching moment, too. And this is something I learned from you in the prop market is, just because a play loses one time, and especially when you have the handicap rock solid, you have some luck not really break your way. Maybe let's call it a prop play where an injury or, an early substitution, makes your play not go. You don't just go off of a play that you've profited from. I mean, this is something that you taught me early on, that if it's something that's working for you and your handicap was solid, go back to the well. Don't go elsewhere on the board, because that's when you're going to start spiraling into, now you're stacking loss on loss on loss on top of each other, correct?
Yeah, when we look at these props, and I do this in all sports, NBA, NHL, NFL, when you're looking at these props, your goal is to try and hit a streak where you hit 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. You don't need to hit 20 in a row. We
Yeah.
just need to turn a profit on it. So don't be scared to go back to a prop if it lost and the handicap was correct. The handicap was indeed correct. I'll come right back to it at a pretty fair price. And if he had finished at that third or fourth, no way we're getting minus 150. That thing would be minus 200 this week. So the books have given us a fair price. He's going to be one of the top cars. I expect a strong finish from him.
That's Andy Lang. I had to just follow up on that one because I thought it was a great little teaching moment for folks. And in true Wager Talk Extra form, we've talked about snowboarding and F1 and NASCAR. So why don't we promote the fact that Andy Lang is killing it in NBA and NHL as well. You can get the props for the rest of the year in both of those respective leagues for just $149. And I know this is a deal you're pumped about, Andy.
Yeah, this is the time of year, if you followed us for the last couple of years, where we excel. It's the post All-Star breaks for NBA and NHL. We're very low volume in NHL, like almost no volume coming into the All-Star break, and then we push it really, really hard. So, Dan, we did this last year after Valentine's Day. Combined in both sports through the end of the seasons, we were plus 85 units. 85 units. If I could do half of that, I would be ecstatic. We're on a really nice run in NHL. We're in a nice run in NBA. So this is a time where we increase our volume in both of the sports. We just have a good read on the second half of the year after the All-Star and the playoffs as well. This will include both sports, end of the regular season, and both postseasons. Only $149. Getting really excited to build those bankrolls.
A terrific deal that you can get there. Head on over to his page, wt.buzz/AL. Huge thanks to Andy all week long, getting you actionable info in PGA, in UFC, and now in auto racing as well. What's a great way to thank him? Ride with him in the NBA and NHL. You constantly see his name at the top of the leaderboard. Why not join in with my man Andy Lang? And you can check out yesterday's edition of Wager Talk Extra to get his thoughts on this weekend's UFC Fight Night card. But stay with us if you want to get Kyle Anthony's thoughts, because right after this, he's joining us on Wager Talk Extra. Welcome on back to Wager Talk Extra. Always love the segment of the week where we get to talk with my man Kyle Anthony, mainly because 3 out of 4 weeks that he's been joining us here on Wager Talk Extra, it's been the plus money train. We got a plus 185 if you want it. We got a plus 205. We got a plus 400 last week on Cody Garbrandt by decision. And the thing is, you'd never, you don't explicitly say, hey, this is the one or that's the one. You have to listen in, Kyle, because you're dropping this gold throughout all of your breakdowns, man. Welcome back. I know you're feeling good, brother.
Oh, I'm definitely feeling good. There's always a couple nuggets in there. I like to kind of leave a couple breadcrumbs here and there, but we definitely have some good fights to talk about and more plus money, hopefully to bring it to the window once again.
Yeah, Kyle Anthony is basically like the Easter Bunny if the Easter Bunny was jacked and could kick your ass. That's basically what he brings to the table here, and he's one heck of a handicapper as well. So, man, let's get into this main event, because a lot of the times after a strong UFC like we saw last week, there's kind of the lull in between, but you could argue as far as fight nights go, this is a pretty darn good card from top to bottom, main event notwithstanding. So how are you going to be breaking down this main event fight?
Yeah, this is a great fight here. You got Merab on the one side here. He's the dog, and you got him at plus 210 on the other side here. You've got Jan. He's going to be the minus 275 favorite. And like they say, styles make fights, and this definitely very contradicting styles. You got Merab on the one side. He's going to be looking to push the pace, get you up against the fence, hold you there when he can, and if he can level change, make it dirty. That's kind of been his path. And on the other side here, you've got Jan. Jan is one heck of a beast when you're looking at what he does, how good he is, and really the issue with him has been his slow starts. He's been a guy that has been in there first round and a half, taking his time, and then all of a sudden he kind of calculates, reads his opponent, and really explodes in those third, fourth, and fifth rounds. That's kind of been his path. Now, the issue here really is that it's going to be the takedowns. How is it going to be stylistically? Now, Jan has a 90% takedown success rate. He has done very well with that, but if you look at what just happened with Merab, he was able to hold up Jose Aldo for 3 rounds up against the fence. Aldo also has a very good takedown success rate. Defense rate, very good. But it's really just making it dirty, keeping him up against the fence, keeping him there, and then seeing what could happen from there. That's how Merab has really kind of found success. But if you're looking at the striking side, it's nowhere close. I mean, obviously, Jan's going to have all the advantages. He's going to have the striking advantage. He's going to have really all the countering. His accuracy's better. Merab more using it for cutting distance, kind of getting his hands on you, latching on. That's kind of been his path. That's the way that he's going to find success. And the real big reason here is Merab needs to weaponize his pace and his cardio in order to find success here. And that's kind of been the way he can find success. And if you look at really how he structures his rounds, it's very hard to kind of get ahead of Merab in a round. You got half the round, you're just trying to get this guy off of you and trying to create space, get your offense off. And then the other half, you need to actually do something positive. You can't just be fighting and defending up against the fence for 3 rounds. That's kind of been the way that Merab has found success there. And the money is flowing in on Jan for all good reasons. He is definitely the rightful favorite. It started and opened at minus 155. Now it's at minus 275 and climbing. All the right reasons. But I think this is getting too wide for me, to be honest with you here. Jan's got the ability to get the job done, but I think Merab in the pocket, taking him down, up against the fence, holding him there. It's not going to be a sexy win, but I think Merab gets it to the window, plus 210. And if you're looking at a little bit more here, you got Merab via decision, plus 330, 340. I think the number's good. And again, I think Merab can just do enough to eke it out on the scorecards.
Whew, man, calling for the outright dog win in the main event. Kyle Anthony ain't scared, baby. You can check him out at wt.buzz/KA. All right, man, let's swing it to a fight that you're pretty excited for. And we also have a great deal for folks right at the end before we turn it on over to Tokyo Brandon. So make sure you stay with us here. But a fight that you're excited for is this Silva and Nam fight. And I'm wondering, do we have another plus money play we might be able to sprinkle for the folks? Or is this a lay it and pray with the favorite? How are you betting this one?
Well, here you got Silva here. Silva now is minus 210 on the comeback here, Nam. Plus 165. Now, I think this is a spot here where you've got the power puncher in them. He is good. He's got the, good footwork. He can be patient in certain spots. And that's kind of been his path, utilizing the striking. And then he has the big power that he can back it up on. And the other side, you've got Silva. He's going to be the grappler. He's going to be looking to take the fight down. He's going to be looking to utilize that. He does have decent boxing, but it's nowhere near anything that Nam does have. But I think the recency bias, or maybe the not so recency bias, has pushed this line a little bit further. When you're looking at the last 2 fights that Silva ended up getting 2 knockouts. Now that's nice. It looks good, but it was JP Buys and Victor Rodriguez. These 2 guys are 0-5 in the UFC, plus the fact that these 2 fights happened 2 years ago. So some people are kind of overlooking the fact that he has also been on the shelf, while the same token, prior to that, he was 0-3. One of them was a no contest, but he was 0-3, didn't look that good, ended up losing some fights, while Tyson M on the other side of things, in the last 4, he's 3-1, has looked good, 3 knockouts, has had some success on the feet. And if you look at even who he lost a split decision to Matt Schnell. Close fight there. I think that he did a lot of good things, but very, very close fight there. And even prior to those 4 fights, he fought Kai Kara France and Sergio Pettis, high-level guys. He has definitely faced the more experienced, high-level talent between these 2. But lastly, if you're looking at it stylistically speaking, Silva needs to get this down. Without a doubt, Silva needs to get this fight down. I don't think he wants to stand in the pocket and trade. And if you're looking at it, Silva's success rate on takedowns is 18%. He's not a guy that's going to be really, having all the success. When he gets it there, he's dangerous, has trouble getting it there. Nam has known to have good takedown defense, keep it at range, work it. He has good footwork. He's going to be the technical striker as well, too, between these two. You add in also the fact that Nam will have a 2-inch reach advantage. That does help him. He's big for the division. And then you sprinkle on the fact that Silva's been out for 2 years. Listen, I like Nam here. I think he can get the job done. He's got the power here. You're looking at it. It's plus 165. Again, if you're looking for the knockout, plus 275, but definitely Nam. I like it. I think the number's off. Plus 165 on Nam. He gets the job done.
The dogs are barking this weekend in UFC Fight Night, according to my guy, Kyle Anthony. Kyle, it's also been rolling below while you've been talking. Incredible deal that people can get this weekend. I mean, one of the most profitable handicappers at WagerTalk, not just in combat sports. We're talking across all sports. This guy continues to cash at an unreal clip, and you can ride with him for just $9. Is that a misprint below us? $9 is the card this weekend, Kyle? Like, how are you getting away with that?
I'm doing a discount here. I'm feeling good. I want to give out some gold. We got nice spots right now. I've got 3 currently right now. I have 4 plays currently right now. Maybe looking at a 5th, but I do like these 4 spots. Check it out, WagerTalk.com, and let's get it done.
Man, so you can get Kyle Anthony's full UFC package for less than you can get a sandwich in New York. So look at that, baby. Ride with him, man. If you're not, I don't know what you're doing. $9 to ride with Kyle Anthony. I know what I'm doing when we head to break right here, because we're going to be heading to the debut at Tokyo. Brandon, he's going to talk World Baseball Classic. So we're going to step aside real quick, and we'll shut things down here on WagerTalk Extra right after this. There's no better way to end the week than having the debut of my man Tokyo Brandon joining the show here today. Me, him, Adam Trigger, we went on a maiden voyage of our Korean baseball and Japanese baseball show. You guys made me boatloads of money, Tokyo Brandon. So I am very excited to welcome you here into WagerTalk Extra. And I'm sure you're going to be a mainstay as we get into MLB, NPB, KBO. But welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you.
Thanks. Good to see you too. It's been a while. And yeah, we did cash a lot of tickets. Actually, KBO was my best sport last year, my most profitable sport. So hopefully we'll continue that run and make some money for our customers.
Well, we're going to have to bring Trig on at some point for sure, because one of my favorite things was when we would do the best bet parlay. And I never suggest doing parlays, but we had some fun with that on the KBO show, now host here underneath WagerTalk Extra. So, hey, man, World Baseball Classic. If people need the baseball itch scratched and spring training just isn't doing it, high quality stuff that we've seen thus far throughout the tournament. And you wanted to ISO in on Team Japan, Tokyo Brandon. Why the heck not? So I'm going to turn the mic over to you and maybe just give us a brief overview of what you've seen so far in the tournament with this Team Japan, because we have a future play that we'll be sharing with the folks a little bit later that might just involve them. So I turn the mic over to the expert, Tokyo Brandon.
So thanks, Dan. Team Japan, they are, in my eyes, the best team in the tournament. They looked a little lackadaisical in game 1 against China. They did win 8-1, but 4 of those runs were scored at the end of the game. They were only having a 4-1 lead in the 7th inning, so that's not really acceptable for Team Japan. But the lines before the game were absolutely crazy. It was actually a -9.5. which I've never seen in my life in a baseball game. And Japan to win all out was -100,000. So yeah, it was pretty crazy line, pretty difficult to bet. And the game over under was 11.5. So in the WBC, there's a mercy rule. So if you're winning by 15 after 5 innings, the game's called. If you're winning by 10 after 7 innings, the game's called. So I think the book was expecting the mercy rule to be in play in the 7th inning minus like 10-0, which it wasn't. So Japan didn't really perform well yesterday, and today they're playing against Korea. I expect, well, I'll tell you what I expect in just a moment. Looking at Team Japan compared to other teams, though, to me, they look like, obviously, I think they look like the best team in the tournament. Team USA hasn't played yet. Team Dominica hasn't played yet. Those are the only other 2 teams that have kind of a fighter's chance of winning this tournament. So it'd be Dominica, USA, and Japan. To me, though, Japan looks pretty unstoppable with Shohei Ohtani, Yu Darvish as their number 1-2 starters. Then they've got Sasaki Roki, who is the best young pitcher in Japan with a 2.11 ERA in his first 2 years, and an 11.1 K per 9 rate. And then they've got Japan's Cy Young winner, which is called the Sawamura Award, in Yamamoto, who has a 2.1 ERA in 6 years, with a 10.6 K per 9 rate. So this rotation is absolutely amazing. This tournament, they put pitchers on a pitch count. So the starters are only allowed to pitch 60 pitches in the first round. So your bullpen and your depth matters. And USA, Dominica, and Japan are the only teams with decent depth in this tournament. All the other teams, when you get to game 2, game 3, you're going to see them start running out of gas, and they're going to start putting their dregs in for those mop-up middle innings. So we're going to see some higher scores as the tournament progresses. But Japan, Dominica, and the USA are the only 3 teams with decent bullpen depth that can keep scores down as the tournament progresses.
So a nice overview there, and now I feel like I'm ready to bet WBC. But I'm just going to tail Tokyo Brandon's plays. That's the way that I usually do it. So Tokyo, you got a free play for the folks. Before we break down some action that's going here shortly with the Japan and Korea game, you're also going to break down the Panama-Cuba game. But people love these plus money plays. What are we eyeing for a little future action here in the WBC?
Well, if your book has the all-out winner future play for the World Baseball Classic, definitely put some shekels on Japan right now before it's too late. This team has the best rotation and the best bullpen. They might not have the best lineup. They do have power hitters from Japan, but as we know, when hitters go to America, their power kind of gets sapped away, and they tend to be slap hitters. However, Japan, when you've got good pitching, you've got a chance. Is when I was a scout, we always use that expression. When you've got good pitching, you've got a chance. Reason being, if you can hold the other team to 0, you can win every game. So even if your hitting is poor. So Japan to win it all, it's plus 270 now, and it opened at plus 450, which I sent it to my clients about a month ago when it was plus 450. Lost a lot of value, but still, I think anything plus for Japan to win it all is a good bet. So if your book offers Japan to win it all, put some money on that future right there.
Japan to take the whole darn thing. That's Tokyo Brandon. And you can check him out at wt.buzz/TB. Man, I should have worn my my Landers hat. I should have known when I met up with Tokyo Brandon out of the Vegas meet and greet. He hooked me up with my SSG Landers hat. That's my my KBO squad. So Brandon, when people head on over to your page to get some of those plays, wt.buzz/TB, they're going to find some great deals loaded there. They've been ticking below you while you've been chatting, one of which is right around the corner. You have MLB, KBO, and NPB. So that's Korean baseball, Japanese baseball, and Major League Baseball. You can get all of that for under $700. And he's putting out plays in all of these, you know, not crazy volume. He's a specialized bettor as well. And when they're there to grab that package, they can also ride with a little bit of the action in the WBC, the World Baseball Classic. They can get all access, every play that you release for just $55. And what's the volume typically like for that? They grab this package, and what can they expect, Brandon?
At least 2 per day have been putting out since the tournament started. And actually, if you purchase the larger package for $6.99, the WBC is actually included in that package. So, but for if that's a little over your budget, $55 for WBC World Baseball Classic All Access might be for you. You can test me out before the MLB season and the Japanese and Korean baseball seasons start, and get a kind of a taste of my volume. But yeah, it's about 2 per day.
Yeah, so they can do the WBC 55 code at your page right now, and then with the money that they make on the World Baseball Classic, they can roll that on over to grab your year all access for MLB, KBO, and NPB. The only bettor at WagerTalk that verbatim the Prez says he will back blindly. So that's pretty high praise if you know the prez. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Tokyo Brandon,
Yes.
hey, let's get 2 quick breakdowns from you here to end the show so people
Sure.
have some actionable info, not just a future they have to
Let's do it.
sprinkle in. This Japan-Korea game,
Yep.
when lines start trickling out, what are you going to be looking to eye, and what do you suggest the viewers do as well?
Yes, I'm actually going to this game. It's at Tokyo Dome tonight. I will be there. And the lines already did come out. Unfortunately, it's really steep. So Japan on the money line is minus 450, and Japan on the run line minus 1.5 is minus 190. It's a little steep, but I did put the minus 190 Japan on the run line out to my clients. Sometimes I like to do a minus 1 alt line, but that's not available right now on DraftKings. I usually check DraftKings or FanDuel to see what the lines are in the US. DraftKings usually has better alt line selections, but yeah, I checked that. There's no minus 1 right now. So Japan on the run line at minus 190. But DraftKings does have some nice alt lines in minus 2 and minus 2.5. So I would play a minus 2 in this one as well if it's available in your book. But I put out a minus 1.5 on the run line to my clients about a half an hour ago. So that's a 3% play to my clients.
The odds makers agreeing with Tokyo Brandon that Japan might be pretty good. Minus 450 on the money line against Korea. So Tokyo Brandon trying to find a way to make that a little more palatable. Maybe you do some alt lines there, shop around and find a good price that works for you. But he says back Japan as they face off against Korea, a game that Tokyo Brandon will be at, bringing you some good luck to you bettors.
I will.
Let's get the final word here, Brandon, on Panama and Cuba. You gave out a free play, and you've just been dropping all kinds of actionable info here. What do you suggest that we maybe sprinkle on in this Panama and Cuba matchup?
Yes, so Panama-Cuba is an interesting matchup because Cuba obviously has the better baseball tradition. But in 2 games, Cuba's actually been spanked pretty bad. And just about 2 hours ago, they got spanked by Italy and lost my 5% play. So I'm really down on Cuba right now. Panama, on the other hand, scored 12 runs on Taiwan in their first game and then got held down by Netherlands to 2 runs in their second game. So Netherlands has been holding everyone down. I don't know what kind of Kool-Aid they've been drinking in the Netherlands, but they're holding everyone down to 1 and 2 runs. Maybe it's some of that stuff they're passing around that's legal in the parks over there. But man, Netherlands are just holding everyone down. But I still think Panama can score on this Cuba team. Cuba just looks listless, lifeless. They look terrible. So I like the plus 1.5. With Panama. This should probably be a fairly close game, like one of those 4-3, 3-2 kind of games. And Panama plus 1.5 was only minus 140. So I took Panama plus 1.5, and I sent that out to my clients as well about a half hour ago. So that's my play.
So we're looking
on the non-Asian game. Yeah.
We're looking towards the dog in that one. And Tokyo Brandon, happy to have you on here on WagerTalk Extra, the only guy who will break down, including maybe they're drinking Kool-Aid, maybe they're passing the Dutchie. Who would have thought Tokyo Brandon coming with the big-time breakdown there? So make sure you check him out, wt.buzz/TB. Take advantage of those great deals that we shared, because that's going to do it for another week here. We'll be seeing more of Tokyo Brandon. Don't you worry. We might even just get him to sing here live on the show. That's going to shut it down for another week here. Make sure you check out the guys at WagerTalk.com. Big thanks to Andy. Big thanks to Kyle. Big thanks to Brandon and Eric doing a terrific job behind the scenes. We're going to be back locked and loaded. Another 3-pack for you of great shows next week, only here on WagerTalk Extra.